Good morning. We're going to go ahead and get started. So if everyone can take their seats, please. All right. So good morning again. My name is Jasmine Harvey, and I serve as a student engagement specialist here with Mississippi Public Broadcasting. I want to give a warm welcome to each of you and welcome you all to WorkForce Wednesday. This is our fourth WorkForce Wednesday since 2022, and we're so excited to have you all in the building and see your faces. So we did gain a new virtual audience during COVID, and we want to also welcome our via Zoom and Facebook family with us today. We would love to know who is joining us virtually today, so please use the chat feature or comment feature to let us know who you are and what organization you represent. You may also use the chat feature to ask any questions. Before we start our workshop today, I want to give a quick overview of the Workforce Initiative. In 2018, MPB received a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to create a workforce development initiative. Our initiative, Getting to Work Mississippi, focuses on sharing information for students and adults and providing the most relevant workforce and information resources to Mississippians. We work with partners to assess challenges and opportunities and produce videos focused on career pathways and essential skills needed to be successful. MPB created a video series highlighting key industry sectors and soft skills series with students. Workforce Wednesday was created in December of 2018 with goals of gathering partners, networking, collaborating to build a strong workforce. These meetings are hosted every third Wednesday of the month, and going forward, they will be hybrid, in person and virtually. All resources, as well as past videos, can be found on our website at education.mpbonline.org. And don't worry, I'll be sure for our virtual family to add that to the chat, as well as the website. Now, it's time to introduce our guest speaker for today. It is an honor, and it brings me great pleasure to introduce our guest speaker. Some of you may be familiar with him just by having the opportunity to eat at his various restaurants. However, today, I would like to put the face to the name. Jeff Good is the president of Mangia Bene Restaurant Management Group, the owner and operator of Bravo, Italian restaurant and bar, Broad Street Baking Company, and Sal and Mookie's New York Pizza and Ice Cream Joint. Jeff moved to Jackson from Salt Lake City, Utah in the summer of 1980. He completed his senior year of high school in Jackson Public Schools, attending Murrah High School, and then attended Millsaps College and graduated in May of 1986 with a degree in business administration. The summer after graduation, Jeff married his college sweetheart, Debbie McGregor, and started a career as a computer salesman for the NCR Corporation. In 1994, Jeff and Dan Blumenthal, his best friend from high school, opened their first restaurant, Bravo. In December of 1998, they opened Broad Street, and in April 2007, Sal and Mookie's New York Pizza and Ice Cream Joint. Collectively, the restaurants operate a full-service catering business, Mangia Bene Catering, with partnerships in dozens of venues throughout the Metro Jackson area. Sal and Mookie's also have two licensed locations, one in Biloxi, Mississippi, and one in Madison, Mississippi. Jeff is a founding member of the Refill Jackson Initiative, a nonprofit workforce development program on the Jackson State University Parkway. Refill Jackson mission is to empower young adults ages 18 to 24 so that they are more confident, better equipped, and motivated to enter into, navigate, and stay in the workforce. Jeff's wife, Debbie, is a retired high school Latin teacher, and she operates a residential remodeling and rental business in the historic Jackson neighborhood of Fondren. Debbie and Jeff are proud parents of two twin daughters, Electra Alex, a second grade teacher at Casey Elementary School in Jackson, and Caroline Carly, who is affiliated with Ashford Financial Group, also in Jackson. It brings me great pleasure again to introduce our guest speaker. Jeff, you may now take the stage.
Clicker here. Thank you, Jasmine, very much for that nice introduction, and thank you to Tara for inviting me, and thank you for all of y'all for being here in person and virtually. It is an honor to be a member of this community. I'm not from here. I moved here in 1980. I was very much a fish out of water, and that narrative of kind of being an outsider, and I started working when I was 13 years old as a janitor in a print shop. 5 days a week, I would leave middle school and get on a bus and head down to Printers Inc. in Salt Lake, and I cleaned a shop floor and 4 sets of restrooms, and cleaning up after particularly men who work in a print shop was especially the bathrooms, was a real humbling experience, and it's how I got my start, and I've been working since. Got into food service when I was 15 at a buffet restaurant very similar to Piccadilly. It was called Chuckarama, 9th East in Salt Lake City. And then when we moved here, I was the first male cashier at LaFleur's restaurant on I-55 North. And then started waiting tables when I was in college, and really haven't looked back since. But I've been asked to come here today to kind of share a presentation that I gave to a group a couple months ago, and Tara was in that audience, and she said this would be perfect for WorkForce Wednesday. So I'd like to share it. I know that the online audience is going to be able to gain access to it as well. I believe I'll see my slides back here, so I might turn around for a moment to see where I am in the process, but let's give it a shot and see what happens. So I already started telling my story, but I'm going to back up for a second and say that everyone does have a story. Even me, to tell my story, we do have to go in the Wayback Machine. We have to go way back all the way to 1981. And I'm looking at the local audience here, and I see maybe 2 people in the audience that might recognize a cassette tape, and also remember that when it got out of loop, 3 in the back, and you had to take a pencil and you had to twist it up. But did anyone have an 8-track tape player? And when the track went off, what did you have to do to get it to set right? You had to put a matchbook underneath the 8-track, right, to get it to track right, all right. So I'm going to take you back to the future, and I'm going to take you to Murrah High when I moved here my senior year. Roll Blue! Go Mustangs! And to the DECA Club. I was part of Distributed Education Club of America. This was my first. I did this in Salt Lake, and I found this home, and I found my tribe. Mrs. Joan Batt was a great teacher. She taught marketing, and this is where I met the guy that I would eventually become partners with, and that would be me and him in this high school picture, and I'll zoom it in a little bit for you. That's still not enough. Let me really show you the hair. That would be me, and that would be Dan Blumenthal, and he and I became friends at that point, and then who would know that later on we would become business partners to open 3 restaurants in Jackson. We own Bravo Broad Street and Salamukis, and the journey to get there is very unique. And I like to tell this story, particularly when I talk to business students, either collegiate or high school, and I do both. I'm speaking to a culinary class this afternoon out at Holmes Community College about job opportunities in our career path, and I'll talk a little bit about how we did the raising of money for Bravo, because if it wasn't packed in what I said when I said I started as a janitor when I was 13 years old, I want you to think about what that means. How would I choose to do that? That was out of necessity. So I was blessed to grow up in a 2-family household, a 2-parent household, but only one parent worked, and money was very tight in our household, and if I wanted to have an allowance and the like, I needed to work for it. So I started working. As a result, when I wanted to open a restaurant, I think that it's pretty clear to say that I didn't have the financial means to do that, so we had to come up with some ideas. So here's the deal. We went to Murrah together. I graduated and went to Millsaps. My dad was the dean of students at Millsaps. That's how we moved here. And Dan went to California for college. He went to University of California, Santa Cruz, got an economics degree. Dan was going to be a lawyer. So he graduated, moved to San Francisco for 1 year to study for the LSAT and to get ready to take the exam. I got married, and I started with NCR, and I started selling computers. Dan came home Christmas of that year that he had moved to San Francisco to study for the LSAT, and he was working at a law firm as a paralegal. He came home and told his parents he hated law, did not want to do that, and he wanted to become a chef. And so he enrolled at CCA, California Culinary Academy in San Francisco, became a chef, started working in the restaurant business. I worked for NCR. I sold large computer systems, did pretty well. By 1992, at the end of 92, AT&T purchased NCR. In 93, they do what happens. They did a reorg, and they announced in '93 that they were going to close the Jackson office and close the division I worked for nationwide, so I was going to be left without a job. I was given a burnout time that I could hold together until I could find something else. I tried everything I could to find another job. I just couldn't get anyone to hire me for whatever reason. I think a lot of these jobs were probably above my station. I went after a job at SkyTel, if everyone remembers SkyTel. I'm the only person I know that couldn't get a job at SkyTel. The day they told me I couldn't have the job, I called my best friend on the phone. I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. And that was Dan. And he was working in the 4th restaurant in San Francisco since graduating culinary school, and he wasn't very happy there and was worried about his future. And from that moment, we decided to go into business together, and we said, hey, what if we opened a restaurant? Now, he was a chef and had worked in restaurants. I waited tables all the way through college. That's my CV on that. But we had, an idea, and we knew how to put a business plan together, and I put together a business plan that was, with him, it was about 60 pages long, and it was a classic business plan with all of the, SWOT analysis, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, menu, competition, a budget, vision, the whole bit. And I met with a buddy of mine who we went to college together, and he and I were business case partners our senior year. So he was my friend, and he was a vice president of a bank, and I sat down and had lunch with him, and I said, hey, I got a great idea. We're going to open this restaurant. It's going to be fantastic. You remember I used to wait tables? I know all about it. I need $500,000. How do I borrow $500,000? And he looked at me and he said, we can loan you $500,000 tomorrow if you have $500,000 in the bank. In other words, you can have all the capital you want if you already have that capital. And I think that's the thing about the free enterprise system. It is, we live in a nation where truly, you're looking at them, truly anyone can move up in their station in life if they have the access to be able to do so. And that's education, and that's networking, personal qualities of grit and character and the like. But if you can't get that first leg on the rung of the ladder, it's hard to climb the ladder. We had college education. We had access to people that had knowledge, and we were able to kind of figure things out. And I think it's really important we, especially those of us that are in the HR world and those of us that have the ability to impact the lives of others, that we need to really think about that as ability is equally distributed to all, but access is not. And so we really need to think about that in the decisions and choices we make. So that said, preaching done, I was told no. And most people would, if you go to the bank, that's what you do, right? You go to the bank, they say no, okay, no business for me. I talked to people, because I like to talk, and I talked to some folks that were oil men, and I had access to these guys at 27 years old because I'd started volunteering. When Debbie and I first got married and we didn't have any money, we used to volunteer for like the ballet or New Stage or anybody who was doing a performance, because if you handed out programs, you got a free ticket, you can sit in the back. And we kind of found some folks that we liked that did that for Ballet Mississippi, and we all created a young person support group, and we started doing some fundraising, and I got asked to serve on the board. So at a very young age, I was serving on an arts board. Who serves on arts boards? Ladies with blue hair and really rich guys. So I had a chance to talk to some really rich guys, some guys in the oil business, and I said, how do you do your real estate deals? How do you do your oil deals? How do you raise money? Because I hear you guys talk about all these different partnerships you have. And they said, what we do is we form limited partnerships, and in today's parlance, that would be a limited liability company, but I'm old enough that they didn't have that law at the time we put this together. So it's 6 to 1, half dozen the other, limited partnership, limited liability company. The idea is you sell shares of stock to y'all, and you would be my investors. And I'd be the general partner, and I'm the one who's responsible for the business and the liability and the personal guarantees and everything. And we go together, and I make a promise of how much I'm going to pay you back for your investment and what our long-term relationship's going to be. And if I fail, you only lose the money you put in, and the bank goes after me because I am the one who signed everything. I'm the general partner. I'm the liability to the entity. So I said, that sounds great. And they also said that a limited liability, a limited partnership, the limited partners have no say. There's no board. There's no votes. So you don't have to manage, vision from other people. And I said, that's really important because we have an idea what we want to do, and we're really not interested in being told, from other people what to do. We like advice, but we don't want to have votes. So we came up with that idea. Business plan went to 250 pages. I had to get a lawyer and an accountant involved. We had to put together a pretty complex financial scheme of how we're going to do this. And then we got to selling, and I prospected 750 people, either on the telephone or face-to-face, and asked them if they wanted to invest in a restaurant. If they were interested, I asked them if they would come to my home. My wife and I had a small house on Euclid Avenue in Bellhaven, a little 2-bedroom bungalow with a big enough dining room table to put a buffet on, and a living room. If you pulled some extra seats in, we could fit 10 people in there. And we would do these little dinner parties every week for 8 to 10 people. And I was buying stuff on a credit card, and we were putting some food together, and we would show them the spread of what we were talking about, give them some wine, sit them on the sofa, and 250 people came through my front doors over a course of a year. Grit, determination, I never stopped. Got to plateaus, got to $100,000, couldn't get anybody else. Got to $200,000, couldn't get anybody else. But over the course of a year, we got enough people we had 44, 45 folks commit to $10,000 apiece, and $450,000 was what we needed. And we closed the offering in October of '93, and we opened April 7 of 1994. We just celebrated our 29th anniversary last week. So thank you. I knew I would get applause on that. That worked out well. So that is the story of how we created Bravo. And just very quickly to show some pictures, I'm just going to look this way while I do this. We took an old restaurant in Highland Village that had closed, had been through 5 different owners in 12 years. 5 different owners. That's kind of the story about restaurants. And that's one of the reasons the bank said, oh, heck no, we're not going to loan you any money. And we remodeled it. And we did a lot of the labor ourselves. It was a shoestring budget. We did what we had to do. That's me chipping away the old tile floors, and that's the day the pizza oven came in the kitchen. And that is, yes, an 80s sweater vest that I still own, and I will wear next winter. And so we built back the new. That's Lynn Green Root. She did the only mural artwork that she ever did in the world, and it's on our walls. When we have to leave that lease, I'm going to have to figure out how to cut it out. That's opening day. My partner, Dan Blumenthal, on the right. His brother, David Blumenthal, who was an original partner of ours for the first 6 years of our business, on the left, and me in the middle. I still look the same. I don't know about them. We have a beautiful restaurant. We've worked really, really hard to create something of merit and something that all Jacksonians are comfortable with and call their own. We make delicious food. We have wonderful people to serve that food, and people enjoy our environment. I'm very proud of what we did. In '98, we had another idea. We came up with the idea that Dan had a grandfather. He was a second-generation Jewish baker. He had a bakery called the Blumenthal Bakery in Trenton, New Jersey, located on Broad Street. So we came up with this idea, let's do a bakery, and you guys are going to have sandwiches today from Broad Street. We're going to do a bakery, deli, and do it in Jackson, and we're going to call it Broad Street Baking Company. And we did it at Banner Hall. We were able to take that old, tired girl, Banner Hall, that was half offices and half closed retail in 1997, and in '98 we opened up, and now it's a pretty flourishing mall. We got delicious, high-fat, high-butter, yummy, yum, 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 yum. Am I making you hungry? It's so bad. Sorry, online audience. And we do king cakes. It's a huge, huge success. New market we opened up a decade ago, and we did 4,000 king cakes this king cake season. It's amazing. I'm so blessed to work with amazing talents because I can't cook. Mangia, Bene, our catering operation, they're doing the sandwiches today for you. We do big events, small events across the market. And we had one more idea. I had twins. I don't know when. I work all the time. I don't know when Debbie and I had kids, but I came home one day and we had twins, Carly and Alex. And dads like to take their kids out for ice cream. So they're 8 years old, 7, 6, 7, 8 years old. In Jackson in 2006, 2007, there were very few places to get ice cream. There were 2 Baskin Robbins, and one was in South Jackson, one was in front of Kroger on I-55 North. Both were folks were mean. They're just plain mean. It wasn't a joy to go there. There was the Marble Slab that was on County Line. There was the yogurt place, freaky yogurt place that was in Highland Village. It's a mean thing to say. Just wasn't a lot of choices. And I said to Dan, I'd love to open an ice cream place. I think it'd be fun. My girls would like it, blah, blah, blah. And my partner, who is a firm bachelor, has no interest in that at all. But I'd like to do New York pizza. So we did what we usually do. We compromised and put them together. And so we came up with the idea for Salamiki's New York Pizza and Ice Cream Joint in 2006. 2006 is on the tail end of Katrina. And the Go Zone was launched, and they announced Colony Parkway and the Renaissance. And Jackson was going through its first major diaspora move out, emigration with an E, emigration of businesses from downtown Jackson and a shifting of the power base for our community. I thought it was really, really important to support Jackson, and there was this thing called Woodland Hills Business District that was trying to rebrand themselves to Fondren, and I said, you know, and I lived off Old Kent Road in that area, and the old Woodlands restaurant had burned down and was closed, so again, Sam's West Side was closed in Banner Hall, the Sundancer was closed in Highland Village. Here's another restaurant that's closed. Let's see if we can't rebirth that and make it happen. So we chose to rent this space from the landlord for pennies because we put $1 bajillion into it to build it out to Salamukis. And we got to work. And that's what we ended up with, Salamukis New York Pizza and Ice Cream Joint. And for 14 years, it was an extraordinary place to be. It was inviting, it was warm, it was a place that there's not a TV to be found. The kids would have to talk to their parents. We gave those wiki sticks away. It was a place for families to enjoy, and we were giving a Bravo level of food. Our chefs were all from Bravo when we opened up, and our leadership in the front house was from Bravo. We gave service and food that you would expect from a high-end restaurant for a family concept with pizza. We really were proud of what we came up with. And Max Barron, our chef there, is still with us. You know, it's just, you know, what we do. We make food and ice cream. The Biloxi project came in 2015. License, a couple that wanted to bring this to their market, and they did an amazing job opening up. Very sorry to report, I need to update the slideshow and update the report. They closed 4 weeks ago. They sold the building and closed the business. They had a really hard time coming back from COVID, and another entity is going to open a restaurant there, so it's unfortunate. But I'm very proud of this success story. Two of my best managers in my business, just like I was when I was their age, they wanted to open their own restaurant. They did the work, they showed the grit. I helped them put together the business plan. They raised their own investors. They had one meeting, raised $350,000 in one meeting, $10,000 shares, had 35 people say, yes, we want to invest. And they took the old Georgia Blue in Madison, opened Salamukis in Madison. They're doing quite well out there. Patrick Munn, Hallie Sappington, super, super proud of them. And we moved to the district 2 years ago. Our lease was over 2 years ago in March this time. We were going to close. We were uncertain that we could continue forward. We had really seen our building fall apart, that street, the sewer was collapsing, a lot of issues. We were tired, post-COVID, scared, no money, didn't know what to do. Sophomore Spanish Club was the second restaurant, so it was Cantina Laredo, Sophomore Spanish Club, two restaurants in 3.5 years, both had closed. Ted Duckworth and Breck Hines, the visionaries behind the district, came to us and said, we have a real problem here, and we'll make it easy and worth your while to get in here because we need your help. And so we put together a deal that was like a mafia thing. We couldn't refuse. Mafia without guns. It was like, you're going to really help us make this happen. And in turn, they are benefiting greatly. In the fine and dandy space, they will announce this week the new restaurant that's coming in there. We're going to have a great new restaurant there. We're excited about that. And that's what we do. We work together. We went in, helped out. Now they're going to be able to solve their other problem. We're going to have a great, vibrant, part of Jackson there. It's going to be great. So we love being in the district. It is just a remarkable place where people love to be. All right. So I've done a lot of advertising here, but I have a purpose for telling you all this because my job is to create memories. If I had control of this, there is a video there. I don't know that it will play. Can you? Do you have the? Can you? Right there. Let's see if it works. It's right at the bottom left-hand corner. There'll be on it. There you go. Right down there. There we go. The play. Let's see if it works. Give it a shot. This is what. This is what turns my crank. It's okay. There's no. It's the volume is inconsequential. It's the moment. I was walking through the dining room, and this kid was having the time of his life with his pizza. So I asked the parents if I could video this. I didn't tell them I was going to start showing it everywhere. But that is what the joy that I do each day is to bring some peace and divertissement to what is otherwise a really, really hard world to live in. And, restaurants can be fun, and they're nourishing. You trust us. We give you food you put in your body. We got to be careful what we're doing and do it the right way, and we want it to be good and wholesome. We want you to come back. So, that's what we do. So I'm in the restaurant business, but guess what? Had a gentleman ask me right before this, he said, are you going to talk at all about how you retain people for a long time? Because you have a lot of people that have worked with you for a long time, and they seem to be happy. It's because we drugged them all. No. I have some secrets. What I've first of all learned is food is not my business. People are. Obviously, you as customers, but my real customer is my employee. If I have a happy wife, happy life, happy employee, happy business. So I've got to make sure that I'm engaged with them. So hospitality is the name of the game. And the secret sauce that I've created over the years comes from on-the-job training. I, again, had a business degree, a general business degree, and I got into computer sales. I didn't go to culinary school. I didn't go to restaurant management school. I went to the School of Hard Knocks. And what I've learned is that, number one, and I think we see this is one of the major problems in our nation, is we can't all seem to get together. However, there is a lot of purity tests for the political parties that everyone better be in line for a political party or else, we're going to kick you out kind of thing. There's just a lot of stress out there. But my purpose for showing this graphic and saying that we need to be in line is that great teams share common traits. So when you come to work with us, we've got a few basic principles that we believe in. And if you adhere to these principles and you can accept them and actually, buy into them, I think they're kind of good for life, you'll do real well with them, with us. If you don't buy into these, you're not going to do real well, and you're probably not going to stay with us. So I try to be very clear in messaging the few things that are important. So number one is we tell the truth in our organization. This is a Mark Twain saying, when in doubt, tell the truth. Or Mark Twain said, if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. So, if anyone was doing the math, I graduated Murrah in 81, I'll go left to right here, 81. I graduated Millsaps in 86. I only got a 4-year degree. I failed out my freshman year. I was called into the Dean of Students office and put on academic probation and sent home to the Dean of Students home because he was my dad. When I moved here from Salt Lake City, Utah, I was a big-haired, goofy, out-of-place, insecure guy who had been a janitor and was working in a buffet restaurant, and I grew up in Salt Lake City where everyone was blonde and white, just like me. And I came to Murrah High that was that time about 70% African American, and I'm in the Deep South. OMG. I just don't even know how to behave. And so I kind of coasted and had a real hard time adjusting that year. And then, like a whipsaw, I was thrown across State Street, just right across State Street, to a whole different world, which was a country club private school. These are really rich kids driving BMWs and going to the beach. What is the beach? The people go to the beach? And I pledged a fraternity. I kept on working. I was working minimum wage as a cashier, and I had to work a lot of hours to make any money. And so school suffered, but my keg drinking didn't, and I failed out of school. Fast forward, I stopped drinking 26 years ago. So I found that I learned how to drink in college, and I did a poor job of it. Wasn't a day drinker, but if I went to a party, I was the guy to take 2 drinks from the bar and walk away and come back for a third. What I've learned about if you just tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything is I lived a very duplicitous life. I told a lot of lies in order to get out of trouble. When I slept through the brunch on one of my best friend's weddings when I was the groomsman, because the bachelor party was too damn fun. When I did things like that and then make up stories, it's traffic. It's traffic that made that happen. So I understand this, and I work with an employee base that is riddled with drug and alcohol abuse, and also just a lot of PTSD and a lot of stressors at home and dysfunction, and also just borderline poverty where it's just the car doesn't start. I used to park my little stick shift on a hill for 4 months because I couldn't afford an alternator. I had to find a hill so I could roll and kickstart to go. I'm not making this stuff up. This will not be a George Santos moment. You will not go back and find that I have made these things up. They are all true. They just aren't Instagram because I'm too old for that. We didn't have cell phones back then. So this is really important to me that I teach people. I understand my employee base. And so when a young man comes to me in high school, it's his first job, and he just has a hard time telling the truth when he's done something wrong. He doesn't want to fess up to it. I get what's going on. And so what I try to do is create an environment where we can make mistakes, we can own up to it, and we can have a fair conversation about it, and that, you know, no one is unduly punished for it. And if I can teach that muscle of telling the truth, I think it's going to serve folks well. So this is really important. And as I tell managers, when I hire a manager, especially if we ever hire somebody from the outside, which we really don't like to do, but sometimes we have to, I say there's only one thing you can ever do to get in trouble with me, is tell the truth. I mean, is to lie. If you lie to me, it's over. We can't correct that. There's not a reason in the world. You can make a million mistakes. Now, if you keep making the same mistake over and over again, you got a problem. You don't know what you're doing. We're going to have to, you know, change your job or change something. But you don't get in trouble for trying. So that's number one. Helpful. Number two, get to yes. My manager, Tanya Burns, who after 19 years just resigned and retired on February the 15th, the day after Valentine's. Tanya ran Bravo like just a tight ship. And if I called her on the phone right now and put the cell phone up to the microphone, I would say, Tanya, what does Jeff say? And she'd say, get to yes. Get to yes. We live in a world where argument is common, especially in social media, and that positions are hard and firm. And the young people, this Gen Z group, they just want to know what they're supposed to do. They don't want to think about kind of, you know, just tell me what I need to do, and then whether they do it or not, something altogether different. But they don't want to think, you know, the gray area. I believe the beauty of things is in the middle, is the gray. So I try to teach people that our goal is to get to yes. So we have all sorts of customer problems. Rarely is it really you. Sometimes it is. Sometimes you're just jerks. But we make mistakes. We're late for food. We give you the wrong thing. We put the pickle on. Oh my God, the pizza, when the mushrooms go on the wrong side of the pizza, you said you wanted this on this side, this, and the mushroom goes over there. It's World War III, right? Our goal is to get to yes. You know, sorry about that. Well, at least half the pizza's still okay. Can you eat that while I make another one? You know, oftentimes, you know, the knee jerk would be, okay, I'll take that pizza away. Now I'm in trouble, and I'm gonna, you know, and here the people are starving. So yeah, I'm telling you something that's really basic. I have to teach people that when we make a mistake with food, leave it with them. You know, take it back. You know, unless it's like a steak, I want to cook it up or something. But you know what I'm saying? If it's shared food or something, we're not going to reserve it to anybody. I mean, let them have it. Take it home. Somebody's going to eat the damn mushroom, I promise. But the idea is to get to yes. So that's an art form we have to learn. And we teach it internally by, like, scheduling. We do a weekly schedule. You have a schedule request book. Hey, there's a big concert this weekend. I want to be off. Well, everybody else wants to be off. Well, okay. Do you remember I gave you off then? So this is your turn, because I gave it to you then. And you learn and you teach and you model that. What you have to do is you have to take the time to do it. Management techniques that are curse, short, and you need to do it because I told you so won't work, especially today. Does anyone here recognize these two characters, and would you know their names? From the movie, not their real names. The movie's names are Sal and Mookie. This is the inspiration that Dan and I had for the name for our restaurant, Sal and Mookie's. It's from the movie Do the Right Thing, Spike Lee's breakout movie in the late 80s. Talked about a Bedford-style pizzeria and the interface between the pizzeria owner and his boys, Italian boys, and the African-American neighborhood that used to be an Italian neighborhood, but now the owner drives in in a car and unlocks the place and opens up and starts serving and then leaves. It's all about race relations on the hottest day of the summer. It's a brilliant movie. But these two characters were inspiration because the storyline about a community around a pizzeria with red and white checkered tablecloths and black and white pictures on the wall and all that was really, cool for us. But I really like the name, Do the Right Thing. So our goal is we do the right thing. So we're faced with a dilemma. When I have a vendor who undercharges me, the right thing is to tell them you haven't charged me enough. Just like I would complain if you overcharged me. When we are faced with what are we going to do, it's review time and we've missed the review by 6 months and we need to give this person a raise, but if we give it to them now, we won't have to pay them the past 6 months. Well, the review was due 6 months ago. You need to backdate it and give them retro pay. That's the right thing to do. If we do the right thing, hopefully that will carry forward. So we make this a mantra as well, that we try to learn and teach and guide and direct in doing the right thing. Back in the day, before Instagram, it was a really big thing for a sports star to get their picture on the box of Wheaties. It was the Breakfast of Champions. So this is for all you managers and CEOs out there. We talk about feedback. You know, there's the old, and then back in the NCR little conference room we had over there on I-55, we had all those little leadership posters, you know, leadership with somebody, you know, climbing a mountain, and, you know, focus, and, you know, it's like the ripples in the pond, you know, all those, you know, came straight in from corporate. These are going to move mountains. Look at these pictures. They didn't live the principles at all, but they had the posters. So feedback. We want your feedback. We're going to send a survey out. We want you to, it's an anonymous survey. We want you to tell us how it is. And then when you tell us, we punish the hell out of you. It is so important that if we ask our team for the truth, and they tell us the emperor has no clothes, we damn well better go look in the mirror. Not tell them they need to get glasses. So for me, one of the most precious things for me, I love, is when somebody says, that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard, Jeff. And I'm like, okay, well, why? And we talk about it, and then guess what? Here's the beauty, managers. I can still do it if I want to. I own the place. I hold the trump card, always. So why am I afraid to listen and learn? Because the best decisions have been made. They weren't mine. I just started the conversation and got something out of it. So it's really important that, you know, I say breakfast is not only, feedback's not only the breakfast of champions, it's the lunch and it's the dinner. And besides, who wouldn't want to see themselves on a box of Wheaties? You changed your hair. I should have got a more recent one. All right. Couple more. Leadership. If you look at the leadership in my restaurants, you're going to see a lot of black and white, male and female. You actually see more female than male on my side of the stainless, the service side, because I identify more with females in terms of the way I think, and I'm very emotional, and so I kind of, you know, that I jive well, and I provide leadership for a female that is the type of leadership that she can connect to. Traditional kitchens are more, you know, male oriented, but I'm okay at that too. I can get in and cuss like anybody else. So what's really important to me is that the strength of my business has come by me putting together people from different backgrounds with different skill sets and different viewpoints, and that together, when we braid the rope with these different strands, different experiences, different races, different storylines, we create a much stronger rope than something that's made from all the same fiber. If I had just a bunch of tall, big-nosed, trying to learn how to play golf, middle-aged white men as my coworkers, we would, you know, I don't know what the heck we would be doing, you know. And of course, practically speaking, that'd be near impossible, especially in my industry. But what I'm trying to say is I really relish the idea of diversity in the workplace and different voices. And then my goal is to try to bind those together by using my principles to get people to see things the same way. And it's hard. It can be very hard sometimes. For larger systems and for corporate systems and for bureaucratic systems, there's a real reluctance for entrenched management to give up power, to pass the baton. It is really, there's a lot of protectionism. People do not want to give up what they have because that is their currency. So my message is that it's really important that we realize we need to develop the next layer of management. We need to pass that baton. We need to be able to trust and to be vulnerable and to give. On the flip side, for all the young Generation Z and the millennials that are at the, you know, the younger millennials, the ones that are at the tail end of the millennial thing. So I'm thinking about these 20-year-olds and the like that are like, you know, I know how to do all this, and I know how to, I can put it on Instagram and do this with my toe and do that. I can do all of this. You need to give me a chance. Shame on you if you jockey your way into getting the baton passed to you and then you break the machine that was created by the very people that work so hard to keep it going. And I have a quick story from Bali, Mississippi on that. So at Bali, Mississippi, the big fight was whether or not we were going to get a personal computer to run the business. A computer, because at this point in time, we had all manual records. And in arts groups, there's oftentimes a support group, primarily of females, that are like the guild or the league that provide a lot of that office work before they got computers. So there was one particular lady who was a extraordinary giver of her time and attention to so many charities, and she was the keeper of the box. The box at Valley, Mississippi was a big old box with cards in it, and the cards had your name on it, and whether you bought tickets and where you liked to sit and whether you had kids or not, and how much you gave. It was power because the box told the story about the business. And so we had this meeting, and it was the big meeting where the board was all called in. It was after a series of prior board meetings that did not come to resolution. And literally, they had somebody wheeled in with an oxygen tank. There was a board member we hadn't seen in years. So you can kind of get the idea. There was a lot of ageism going on. Older folks did not want to see a computer. The younger folks, the office manager, wanted to see it. So there it is. Time to do the vote. All those in favor, aye. All those opposed, nay. And the nays didn't win. And I was watching this lady because she had brought the box with her and she put it on the table. And when the nays were shown to be the loss and the motion carried to get a computer, she started shaking and she literally pulled that box towards her bosom and shook because she was watching her power in her mind be decreased. That woman knew the story. Now, we got it automated, and I don't know that we did a better job. But that's an illustrated point, right? So the idea is we've got to be able to we need to honor the past, because guess what? People my age, we did it without Wikipedia, without Google. We had to know the Dewey Decimal System. We had to talk to people. And so there's this whole thing that, again, this is no different than race, power, economic position, or age. All of these are differences that in the workplace, we can work this out. This ain't politics. We don't have to deal with other interests. We can get this done. So the final narrative. This conversation, I've named this presentation before walking towards the bullets because one of the most, another key phrase we use in our organization is walk towards the bullets. Customers are complaining. They didn't like something. Oh, somebody needs to talk to the customer. Walk towards the bullets. People are afraid of bullets for a good reason. They kill. And oftentimes we don't do things we don't want to do because we're afraid of what may happen. We're more concerned about what the outcome is, and we future cast. We get all up in the future. This is what's going to happen if I do this. And the reality is it may not be that bad. So I use this graphic. I like to talk through movies. This is a still from the movie The Matrix, which was a science fiction movie that was pretty popular. Like a lot of science fiction movies, it's based on Judeo-Christian storylines of dying and rising gods and the like. So this is a guy who's the hero of the story, who's plugged into an AI universe, an artificial intelligence universe, and he acts like a superhero when he's in there. But the one rule, it happens in a dream state, the one rule is if you die in the game, in the computer game, you die in real life, because you're plugged into it. Because the story is if you die in your dreams, you die in life, right? That's what Grandma told us. So the rule is he can do all sorts of cool superhuman things, but if he gets shot by a bullet or run over by a car, he dies. So you're afraid still. You're afraid, with good reason, of the bullets. So he's in a situation here where he is facing a hailstorm of bullets, and in this still, he's holding his hand out, and he simply says, stop. And in the movie, all the bullets stop midair and fall to the ground. What happens is he becomes conscious of the fact that those are the rules of the game, but it's a game, and he's not in the game. He's somewhere else. Therefore, he should be able to control the game, and so he's not afraid anymore, and he says, stop. I coach my waiters when they take your credit card and they go back to the wait station and they swipe the credit card and it comes back declined, that it's okay to go talk to the customer, that they're not going to get into a big fight. It's all the way they do it. You don't walk up and say, your credit card's declined. Table 13 declined. You walk up and you say, Jeff buys these cheap computers and they just don't seem to swipe the card, and the minute you just do this, the customer immediately goes, oh, it must be my card. Give me that and let me use this one. We got to yes. Nobody was hurt. Nobody didn't tell the truth. We walked towards the bullets and we lived, right? One other last thing on this slide. It's a cool movie with a lot of graphics and a lot of Hollywood production. And this dude, Keanu Reeves, made $1 million times 20 and looks really cool. Here's reality. This is what a movie scene looks like. That's not even Keanu Reeves. That's some stand-in guy who's being paid minimum, wage to stand there and look like him and get wired up so he can do other things. And you've got all these people behind him. Why am I showing you this? Because in business, in business, the leader often perceives himself as this. I'm the juice. I'm everything. I'm the boss. The only reason he's there is because of all those people. They make him look cool. So you got to remember the people that brought you. Also, all of those people are watching you, seeing what you're doing, taking cues from you, and the speed of the leader will be the speed of the pack. And if you are dishonest, if you are abusive, if you break the rules, we have a rule that we don't take money out of petty cash without a slip and a receipt. If I go, I just need $100 in petty cash, just give it to me. Let me go. I got to go get some lemons. I'm breaking the rules. I eat free at my restaurants. And if you ever have breakfast with me at Broad Street, as you step away and I say, go get your coffee, I'm filling out a form with my name and number, and it gets stapled to the receipt. Because we have a process. And I follow the same process as anyone else. I can't just go, you got me, and go over here. Y'all, let's be kind, because everyone is fighting their own battle. We all have issues. So, sir, I don't know if this answered all your questions, but that is a story of where I came from, what I do, what I've learned, the tools I use, and literally, I talked about getting to yes this morning with a staff member. So I practice these principles in all my affairs. I'm Jeff Good. I am your restaurateur. I'm going to say one last thing. 4 weeks ago, newsflash from MPB, thunderstorms over, I've been in business for 30 years with my business partner. We're on different tracks. We all are in life. 5 weeks ago, I purchased Dan's share. We are no longer business partners. It was an incredibly God-right, unbelievable release for both of us. He is as happy as a clam. I am absolutely revigorated after 29 years of doing what we've been doing. I've got all sorts of new ideas. If you've been to Broad Street, you see some new stuff out front, the whole new counters. I just put in a flat top grill in the kitchen. I did a kitchen remodel in 2 Monday nights. They said couldn't be done. Did it. We're going to have hash browns, pancakes, grilled cheese sandwiches and melts, Philly cheesesteaks, egg scramblers. Wait, it's coming. And we've got some other ideas at the other restaurants. I am honored for the history I've had with my partner, but I also want to say things do change. And the principles that I have lived by, honesty, not being afraid to walk towards the bullets, I approached my partner and I said to him, I am not happy. I don't think you're happy. We need to do something about this. Here is an idea. And I was ready for the fight. And he looked at me and said, my God, I can't believe I've got an option. Let's do this. And 5 weeks later, we signed a piece of paper. No lawyers, no fights. It's unheard of. 50-50 partners. I mean, none of us had 1% more. And that story, as I say that in public, I say that in honor for Dan Blumenthal, honor for the partnership we had, but also to say, as time goes on, things do change, and we must stay relevant and we must keep going. And what I saw was that we were not gelling any longer for what we needed to do, and we were exhausted from COVID and everything it took to get back open. But I was ready to do the next thing. So there we are. So now you only need to complain to me. And I got to learn how to talk chef and be a little tougher. So there you go. I am supposed to ask for questions, and I would be glad to answer any questions for a moment. And so for all those holding the signs in the back for me to run for mayor, I'm not going to run for mayor, although I would take Sheila in a moment as my PR person. This city is a very complex place, and I love her so much. But my chart and course is to make great food and to teach our young people about hospitality. I'm going to keep doing that until they carry me out of here. So, questions besides that one? Funny. Don't be scared. Yes, sir.
Do you feel it's easier to give up power to teenage boys when you have leadership in it?
Question is, do you feel that it's easier to give up power to teammates when you feel that you have built up the leadership in them, correct? Absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't want to give somebody, I don't want to give somebody something that's going to hurt them. I wouldn't want to give scissors to a baby, doesn't know how to use it. I wouldn't want to give power to a manager that wasn't ready for it. So there's got to be that trust and that ability. Plus, selfishly, one of the things about small business is when the brown stuff hits the fan, it's me. When COVID happened and we closed the restaurants, my thought, besides, am I going to die? What's going to happen? All the things we all had is, oh my God, I'm the personal guarantor on 3 long-term leases, 2 loans, and I won't have a job. I'm going to have to declare. I talked to Debbie. I said, we may need to look at, the big B word, because it's not some weird corporate entity behind me. It's me. So it's very personal. When I give up power, I mean, right now 3 restaurants are running. I'm sitting here running my mouth with y'all, so I obviously have given a lot of power up to others. I trust them. Quite frankly, most of them know the job better than me. I mean, I can come in and just complain about the fact the light bulbs are out and it's dirty in the corner and nobody changed the soap in the bathroom, but I'm really good at finding those things. I'm also really good at saying, that was a great job you just did. I heard what you said to that person. That was amazing. Helpful? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you specifically talked about your employees as the most important people. And you also talked about the key being, in the video we saw, was to create memories.
Mm-hmm.
And in your video, you're creating memories for your customer. I'm curious on how you create memories, how you use that same logic, creating memories for your people. Are there some tips on using that same logic but for your people?
You gave me a lot of compliments, and I appreciate that. You repeated a lot of my presentation. I appreciate that. I'm repeating this for the audience. I'll just get straight to the question you gave, which was the video of creating memories for the family, how do I create memories for employees? So the Symphony contacted me this morning and asked for me to take out my annual ad. So we take out a program ad like I do with all entities and organizations, and we'll do that in trade because the Symphony loves to do box lunches for their board meetings and do an occasional party or something like that. So I said this time, you know something, instead of an ad, I'd really just like tickets. Can you give me a block of tickets? Because I'd like to gift them to my employees. I'd like to give them that experience. That is, what a great thing. And they're like, oh my God, that's a great idea. And I said, let's make that happen. And I learned that when the Mississippi Braves kept on every year, come on, take out a billboard in the field. And quite frankly, from a business standpoint, for me, that's not going to move the needle for me. It's a lot of money. It doesn't make any sense. A couple of years ago, I said, I want to support you guys. Well, let's just do a big ticket swap. So I've got 200 tickets on my desk. And I'm able to go to a family and say, would you like to take your family, all 20 of them, to the park? I can do something like that. So small things like that. Other things are celebrating birthdays. We do a handwritten card for birthday. We do a gift card that goes in that birthday. I've got my HR person manages that for me. It shows up in my box in my folder with all the other invoices. So when I sit down, I'm able to quickly do that. There's a process I've learned. And then I also see the person's name. So then if I can remember everybody's name, because I got 210 people, and it's hard, and there's always somebody new. But if I recognize a person when I'm in the restaurant, I'm able to say, hey, happy birthday. And they go, how'd you know? And I said, you haven't got your card yet? They said, no. I said, damn it. But it's... Oh, the best part is when I walk up to, this is totally aside, I walk up to an employee and say, you're doing a great job. I really, really, man, good job. And I'll turn around, the manager goes, we're firing them today. Happened more than once. Clueless old man walking in the house. It's like, keep it up. Good luck. Anyway, helpful. Anyone else? Yes, sir. The question was, how are we handling food costs that keep going up? Last week, the numbers came out for inflation and said that consumer inflation is dropping. we're still seeing tremendous pressure in wholesale food costs and food costs across the board, particularly for kind of shifting sands. It's chicken. It's chicken because of avian flu and eggs all going wrong. It's produce because all the romaine lettuce dies, plus supply chains and gas and everything. It's this, that, and the other. We have the ability to change menu prices. It's a fairly what we back in economics at Millsaps we talk about a elastic demand situation. So how far can we take a price before you guys stop buying it? So we've had to increase our prices across the board, a little bit here, a little bit there, a quarter here, 50 cents here, a nickel here. I mean, literally, we've changed things a nickel. And the cost is you have to reprogram the computers and you reprint the menu. We print menus in-house on a copier, so there's not a lot of cost to us to do that. The Broad Street menu is a professionally printed thing, so that's a little more of a challenge. It's not fun to raise prices because all we're doing is just perpetuating the cycle. We pay more, so we make you pay more, so you have less money, and it doesn't win for anybody, but it's the only way we can keep going. So number one is we do financials every month. We know what our percentage is. We know what our target is. We know what we need to make. So we manage our business. A lot of restaurants simply manage it by this. They look at the end of the month, they say, oh, I've got money in the bank, so I guess I'm okay. That's not accounting. That's cash. And you have no idea what your bills are that are out there. Number two is we talk about waste, and we talk about respecting the food product and being careful. We watch for theft. Theft doesn't have to mean somebody stealing, but theft means people that are eating more meals than they're supposed to, taking extra food home and things. No, we don't feed the family. The program is we feed everybody. And then finally, one thing we haven't done is we have not reduced portions. That's something we will not do. We will increase the price as fair as we can, and we will do the best we can. We're also decreasing prices when the price comes back down. Chicken wings went way through the roof. I was on Fox. I was the darling of Fox News with Stu Varney about chicken wings because our chicken wings went market price and got up to $28.95 for 15 wings. And I showed the math. It should have been $34 based on our food cost numbers, based on what we paid, $1.50 raw wing per wing we were paying. And it's back down to $18.95 now, which is where it should have been, for what we do. And so we don't gouge, we ride it. So we're kind of doing that up and down. Is that helpful? Okay. Yes, ma'am?
So I've seen you in the community, talking to community leaders who have issues with water prices, not being able to open your restaurants because of water, first year COVID, water next to garbage.
Yes.
And so it's been an increasing challenge, and I've seen you personally have to go and wait tables, clear tables, fill up water glasses,
Because I'm really good at it.
well, and because you didn't have staff.
Yes.
Staffing issues become a challenge, training people in this market, it's incredibly challenging. How do you maintain such a positive environment, not only for you, but you have to be leading by example, so you've got
Thank you.
staff. With all of those mounting challenges, and you work within the community to build that goodwill when, not everybody's on your side.
Thank you. The question was all the challenges. I'm in Jackson, Mississippi. I live in Jackson. All three of our restaurants are in Jackson. The challenges specifically to Jackson being water crisis coming on after COVID, water crisis, issues of social ills of crime and some things like that, and most recently the trash situation, and just general contagion, the difficulties of being in Jackson. And how do I keep positive? And how do I emote that down to the staff? Okay. So, I've lived in Fondren. I've lived in Belhaven, moved to Fondren. Lived on Avondale Street for about 21 or so years, and then got a wild-haired walking the dog around the neighborhood that I saw a house that was available. And I came home. I said, Debbie, we should move. It was one block over, and I moved to Cavalier Drive. And I told my partner I was moving to Cavalier, my business partner. He said, isn't it going to be hard to be a Jackson advocate if you live at Lake Cavalier? And I said, no, it's Cavalier Drive. It's one block away. So I'm a Jacksonian. I live in Jackson. I go through all of this. One of the 20 managers I have, one lives in Jackson. 65% of my management is African American. 100% of, except for me and the other managers all live in Rankin County. They all have families. They've made reasons for moving there. During the water crisis of February 21, when we were closed for 19 days at Bravo, 19 days at Salamukis in Fondren, and 6 days at Bravo. Bravo got water first because it's close to the river, water pumps from north to south. Other side of the interstate, it goes all the way around 220, has to come back up north side. When we had the second big water outage this summer and then the 9 weeks of boil water notice, a lot of our managers said, can you just give up, Jeff? Just why do you keep doing this? I'll get somebody will be coming to work, they'll take a screenshot of a restaurant that's just closed and said, here's a great place for, Broad Street. And I've had all the mayors call me. I'm here. I've been wildly successful at doing this. We continue to have extraordinary customer demand. It is our station in life. It is a harder thing for us to do. It is and make no. It is harder for me to hire people. Part of this is it's hard to work here. I lost some waiters that were really, really critical to me at both Salamukis and Bravo this summer. When we closed for another, you had to close for 4 or 5 days, and they remember the 21. They just said, sorry, Jeff, but they were working in Madison or Flowood the next night, because you can get a job anywhere in our business, and I don't blame them. They had bills to pay, and I was unsure if my insurance was going to cover, which, by the way, my insurance did not cover this summer. We took a total loss. The insurance said that a flood incident is not insurable. So it is extremely expensive to do business oftentimes in a hostile environment. But I'm just here trying to make it better. So I think that people buy into that. And we do a quality product, so people are proud of it, and they know that if they want to do what we do, you got to be with me. You can go somewhere else. And there are great operators in this market. But if you want to be with me and if you want this stuff, this is the place to be. So oftentimes my wife is very critical of me, rightly so, because she sees my warts and all. And I've got a little bit of imposter syndrome. I mean, I'm not really that good. But something I do every day, somehow I magically just kind of, I fumble through and it all works. And people seem to like me. I've made an amazing hire that's going to start in 3 weeks. I've had somebody come to me who I'm really excited about working with. I'm really kind of charged because I need a little help. And the management team at this particular restaurant is really worn down, and I've shared the information, and everyone's high-fiving. Don't know the person yet, and they're not going to start for a couple more weeks, and it's going to be kind of a surprise, but people are excited. So something's working. So until tomorrow. And I think the water thing is going to be all fine now. I have belief that the adults are in the room. I'm just worried about sewer at this point, but anyway, we'll make it through. What else? Tara?
Have an online question.
Yes,
Customer service has gotten really bad. That's what they said. At restaurants throughout our city, our state, what is the best advice that you would give to a manager to turn that around for their company and for their customers?
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you talking to me?
That.
There it is. So you go up to the cashier, and he or she is on their phone. Or they got the earbuds in. You got the earbuds in. I was at a chicken, a chicken dinner at a hotel recently, and 3 of the waiters all had dangles as they were slinging them. And I'm like, come on, guys, come on. So the number one thing management needs to do is stay engaged. So when I talk about earbuds, my team all wears earbuds all the time, and it's our job to get them to take them out. And if we don't take them out, it's our fault. Certainly on the service side, no one needs to have an earbud in the dining room. But long hair, other things like that, it is nefarious. And we played the game of all cell phones in the office, and that did not fare well. They're not. That is draconian, and that is that's it. I'm out. I mean, I'm not going to do that. And then you're just dealing with a tremendous amount of drama and stress. So it's about trying to explain why. So to me, when I have a problem with service with somebody, I try to put them in the seat of the customer, and I say, so if you were this person and you walked in and nobody paid attention to you and blah, 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 how would you feel? And, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But Danny Meyer is an outstanding, internationally known restaurateur in New York City. his big retail, he does a lot of upscale restaurants, but Shake Shack is his big national concept, but I don't want to make him a fast food guy because he's all fine dining. Danny Meyer wrote a book called Setting the Table, and in that book, he has a very basic concept, which is a great management concept. Constant, gentle pressure. Constant, gentle pressure. So the idea is he uses a salt shaker pepper scenario, and I'm guilty of this because if you go into Salamakis right now, God knows where the salt and pepper shakers are on the table, or even if they're on it. But the idea is that in his fine dining concepts, there's a salt and pepper goes in a certain place, and then the sugar caddy goes here, and it aligns to the east or the west. It aligns along a line, and all the tables align along. Everything is aligned, and he said that the key to management is the constant gentle pressure that during setup and checkout before you start coming in, a manager walks the tables, and he's constantly saying, this needs to go 3 more inches this way. This goes. You don't accept anything. You constantly and gently put pressure on the system and say, this is how it is. You're not yelling at people. You're not being like I was when I was younger. I would be all on one day and then absent for 2 weeks. And that mercurial behavior will damage an organization like crazy. Oh God, here he comes, you know. But if you're every day just saying, you know, something that just needs to go here, you need to do this, that's the way to do it. Constantly, gently, but with pressure. That this is important. This is not a game. We're doing this for a reason. It's hard, and the management are exhausted too because they're at their wits' end because they're short-staffed and they're having to wait their own tables. They're having to clean their own dishes. Right before I walked in there, I was in the parking lot confirming that a plumber was showing up. The hot water intake under the dish sink at Bravo split in half and started spewing water all over the place. We got to find the cutoff, turn off the water. We can't wash dishes. Mm-hmm. It's 11 o'clock. We're starting up. That is the reality of our business. And in our world, my management team knows that they know who to call, but they also said, well, I got a voicemail, and they know that the boss will. I immediately jumped on and sent out a group text to all the plumbers that are on that team and said, hey guys, I got a 911. Show up. Why did they show up? Because I pay my bills. That's the other thing. Pay your bills. If you don't pay your bills, you've got no right to ask for anything. You got no right. You've got no right to ask for business for anything from another business if you refuse to pay them or pay them slowly or abuse them in the payment process. I pay all my bills, and as a result, I eat first. When I ask for something, they show up. And that is the only way I can keep going, because if I had to beg and borrow in this market for somebody to come fix something, I would be closed. So. God, I'm full of advice, aren't I? Blah, 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 like he knows anything. Not at all. Yes, ma'am. Only because you're kind of bossy around here, boss person, you can take huge questions.
So you have, your staff is unique in that you have what I describe as potential. You have people that have been there for a very long
Yes.
time.
Yes.
Who are seasoned
Yes.
employees who have been there 10, 15, 20 years, retired from there. And then you have a younger generation, right, swinging the other direction, who maybe first job or maybe job in college, something like that, who are, I don't want to say aloof, but maybe not as bought in.
Sure.
to the system,
Absolutely.
not as seasoned, and maybe the direction that they take is, kind of, to your point, one day they might be on, the next day they may be off. How do you instruct the management and/or the people that are kind of managing those people? How do you deal with the pendulum?
So the question is, how to deal with the pendulum swing of senior management that's been around a long time, gets it, senior employees, they get it, they're going to, Section A at Bravo, the waiter that runs Section A, which is the opening section and has a series of responsibilities, it's always to a senior person, it's going to get done. And, so how do you deal with that versus newbie, disengaged, part-timer, no interest in this at all, just pulling a paycheck? It's a lot of patience. Chuck Nix, who is now the service manager, the overall restaurant manager at Bravo. Chuck has been with me for a year and a half, an amazing attraction. We were able to attract him from another restaurant. I don't ever poach from other people. I never go somewhere and ask people to come work with me. But if they call me, it's game on. Chuck came to me, and he has been our sommelier and assistant manager for the past year. Chuck is now the manager there, and Chuck told me he was unhappy with the way onboarding was going, starting folks, and so he created his own orientation, because I was like, all you have to do is call me for orientation. I'll come and do the slideshow. He goes, no, we don't need you. I'm going to do my own orientation every Monday, and there may be 2 people there, there may be 1 person there, but I'm going to take them through the same thing, and I'm telling them what the vision is for the restaurant. Trust me, I know what you want. Come sometime and see it. I still haven't gone because I trust him, and I know it's working. So he's taking the time to bring every employee in at 4 o'clock on a Monday. We're closed on Mondays. He's taking his personal time to do that because he feels that personal investment of time up front is going to yield something in the back. My long-term vision is someday when I slow down enough, we're going to have an online training system with all these videos and everything is going to be great, and everyone will have a common experience. They'll know where to park, so I don't have to tell them 1,000 times, because that's a big issue, because we want to give you the parking spaces, especially at the district, but I'll be damned if everybody doesn't want to park at the front door. Number 2, how to clock in. Number 3, blah, blah, blah. We've got to meet the employees where they are. I think the first few days are the most important. Who we match them with for training is incredibly important. If you match them with a toxic person, it's going to be a toxic outcome. Why would I have a toxic person? Because right now it's hard to fill in general, so I've got some toxic people. I've been transparent. I'll be transparent one more time. I have a crisis at Salamukis. I've got a business that is twice the size it was in Fondren. You guys will not stop coming. I have a staff that is there's so few people that have been with us from Fondren. They don't understand me at all. And we've had a turnstile of new employees. And we've got some amazing young talent there, but their vision is what they've seen for the past 2 years, which has been contagion. They have no idea what a structured restaurant looks like. I don't know how to stop the machine. This is where I'm bringing this new management resource in. This is where we're going to continue to try to throw resources at fixing this, because it's almost like I have to stop and close for a few weeks and reboot all over again to get structure, because I'm sure that some of you have had a less than perfect experience there. Be honest. I'm not accepting it, but I'm accepting of it. I'm accepting because I can't do anything about it, but I'm trying to do something about it. So I'm not sitting on my hands. So I'm accepting, but I'm not accepting the outcome. We have to change. We have to get better. So I'm a real case of this. I don't have the Broad Street, which you would think that standing at a register all day doing this and running food back and forth, I can't get people to quit there if you put a gun to their head. It's the most amazing thing. People love that work. It's because it's extremely structured over there. It's got 23 years of this. Mike Thomas, he was a busboy at JSU when he came to work with us. He was at JSU, he came to work as a busboy. He's been the general manager there for 18 years. He's run that place.
Thank you, Jeff. Let's give Jeff a hand. We appreciate all of the stories.